Thanks, Colin, for taking the time to speak with us. Can you take a few seconds to introduce yourself and your company, Founders Metal?
Sure. My name is Colin Padget. I'm the CEO of Founders Metals. Founders is a gold exploration company in Suriname, so the northeast corner of South America. We've got a 200 square kilometer exploitation concession.
There are not so many, sorry to interrupt you, there are not so many companies operating in Suriname, right?
No, but more and more these days. Yeah, I think 2 years ago it was a fairly unknown place, but I think the success in Guyana and then now our success in Suriname, it's brought a lot of attention. So there's a few more juniors exploring there now, and I mean there's always been the major mines operating with Newmont and now Zijin there.
By the way, have you heard about a junior exploration company operating in French Guyana? I think it's Au Plata. Have you heard about them?
Yes. Yeah, they were the owners of, or I think still are maybe, of the Yao concession. So it's immediately across the river from us, actually. About 10 kilometers away. Our chief geologist did his PhD on that deposit.
Okay. Yeah. So you are mostly exploration company with no production?
100% exploration.
100% explorations. And when you're an exploration company, the cash situation is always one of the key questions. So that will be, of course, my first question. What's the cash situation as of today for founders?
We're in a pretty good spot there. We've got about $56 million in cash, which is...
You said 15?
56.
56. Okay.
56 million. So we completed a raise just recently, where basically added to our cash base B2 Gold, who's a 5% owner and strategic investor in Founders.
That was going
They came in and added some more.
They added 21 million, right? That's what 12.1 million.
12.1 million in November. Another 3.5 million came in as part of their top up here in last month, and so a big part of that.
How do you plan to use that money from B2 Gold?
Well, from B2 or the raise in general, I mean, our focus this year is we have 60,000 meters planned for drilling. That 60,000 meters is expansion of the things that we know and exploration on a whole lot of things that we need to test. And so far, we've had a couple of new discoveries on testing those new things, so we're off to a pretty good start. We'll spend this year, the next 12 months, our plan is around $25-26 million as a planned budget for that 60,000 meter drill program, which gives us a lot of runway after that and a lot of flexibility in terms of capital raising in the future and all that. There's no pressure on us, which is a good place to be.
Apart from the funding, do you have any outstanding debt? Do you use debt?
No debt whatsoever. No. And actually, on our sheet right now, we've a couple 100,000 warrants left that all expire at the end of the month. So it'll be just shares and nothing else by the end of March.
So which project that you want to talk about? Is it just one place? I heard your main project is Antino, right?
Yeah.
Antino Gold?
Yeah, so Founders Metals as a company only has two projects.
Two projects, okay.
So, but 100% of our time is at Antino.
Okay.
We do have a gold project in Eastern Canada, and that was a project that the company was started around. But upon finding Antino, and then with all the success we've had, there's no value add to shareholders to do any work anywhere other than Antino.
Okay. Since you are the founder, how did you come with the idea of exploring Suriname?
Well, I was actually looking at the region in general. Started with kind of some exploration projects looking at things in West Africa. Saw one of the maps that we have actually in our presentation as well, where it connects the dots between the geology in West Africa and Guyana Shield. Looking for projects in the Guyana Shield, was introduced to the people who actually had the original option agreement on Antino, and we worked out a deal where we acquired that option agreement from them, bringing that in. They came into the company, or I negotiated that deal and came on as CEO at the same time.
Okay. Good. How do you manage the risk associated with the fact that basically you are a Canadian company managing with US dollars, but getting to deal with Suriname's currency? I don't know what it is. It's
the Suriname dollar.
Suriname dollar.
Yeah.
So how do you manage? How do you hedge against those risks?
Well, I mean, it's actually a good question. It's been a topic of more and more conversations recently with all of the things going on with the U.S. and Canada, everything right now. We actually do keep quite a bit of our balance, or our cash balance, in U.S. dollars, and pay a lot for our services and things in Suriname in U.S. dollars as well. So really, it's just keeping that cash there in USD.
Okay.
I think, I'm not an economist, but the sense in general is that the Canadian dollar may not, in the short term or medium term, be as strong as the U.S. could be. So,
yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But nobody is sure about anything.
Nobody's sure about anything right now.
Suriname, I don't know this country so much, but I guess it's a developing country. It's a poor country, we could say. What kind of engagement do you have for social life in Suriname? Do you have projects? And can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So in Suriname, you're right. Suriname's a very small place, about 650,000 people, 400 by 400 square kilometers. Very small place. But some recent, big dollar investments. Total and Apache recently made an investment decision on some offshore oil and gas development, investing $10.5 billion in the country, which is 2.5 times GDP currently. So quite a significant investment. The gold production there also is significant and has been for many, many years. So a good financial base in the country. In terms of engagement, we do quite a lot. We support the local university program, particularly with the hard rock or the gold geology side of things. We have a very good relationship there. So supporting a master's program and having students come out to site and participate in the learning side of that. We obviously benefit from then getting some great students to work on our project.
How many people do you employ locally?
Locally, we employ about 140 people locally. We have around 85 to 90 people on site at any given time, and then we have a rotation. And that's surface exploration, cooks and camp management staff, everything that you'd need to support a camp, welders and the works.
What's the time frame from moving to exploration where you are now to productions, and how will you handle it? I guess you will sell. You will not engage into production yourself.
Well, I wouldn't say it's our direct plan. I mean, our model certainly is exploration, and our team is very much an exploration-focused team. We're doing all of the steps that you need to do to de-risk a project and to move it towards development. And I think we've got a pretty strong team, and if we need to hire the people who have that mine development or mining know-how, then we certainly can bring them on board and move down that road. But right now, the value add to investors, I think, is to continue exploring, keep finding more gold as we've been doing, and then look for that longer-term potential buyout opportunity.
Okay. Now talking about communications, I told you that I knew you from Twitter, from X. Are you satisfied with your financial communication with your shareholders, or do you think that there are some things you want to improve, or what kind of efforts are you making for communication with shareholders?
Yeah, I mean, I think from very early on we've done quite a good job of communicating with, particularly our retail shareholders. At the beginning, founders started with a very small raise, but we had 82 subscribers in our first placement. It was a lot of work getting that together. But a lot of those shareholders are still shareholders today, and I still keep in touch with many of them. And I do a lot of, I'm a big fan of the kind of podcast format or long format discussion type YouTube videos, etc.
Can we find you on Spotify, for example, something like that?
Yeah, there'd be a few podcasts out there that I'd be on. Not myself, I don't do the podcast thing, but I'm happy to be on them and talking, much as we are now.
Okay. Now, if you want, let's talk about the relationship with B2 Gold. They're an investor in your company, minority shareholders. What do you expect? How do you expect the situation, the relationship will evolve over time? Do you have any plan that you might want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, so B2 Gold, I mean, a big part of them coming on board, and at the time when they did join, it was a competitive process. There were a number of companies interested.
B2 Gold is a production company also? Or?
They are, yeah. B2 Gold has current production profile between 800,000 and 1 million ounces per year.
Yes.
They've got assets in Eastern and Western Africa, as well as a developing asset or a near production asset in Northern Canada. They're a substantial mining company in their own right. They've experienced developing assets in jurisdictions similar to Suriname, and they have a very strong and excellent technical team. So all of those things made a lot of sense for us, having them come in as partners. They were down to site very, very quickly and took that whole process quite seriously, and we're happy to have them engaged. They have access to our data room, much like a number of other companies do. We're pretty open with that. The deal that we did with them is a 5% investment in November last year. No really strong strings attached, because it was at the time a relatively small investment to the size of the company. So there's no asymmetry of information, I'd say. There's everyone in the data room who have the same sort of ability and access, but we have a good relationship with them, and if they want to spend time at site, they're more than welcome and do. We recently had people down, and anytime we can get other company or bigger company geologists down and have them talk to our geologists, we always learn things. So it's been very good.
What are the key milestones for founders for this coming 2025 year and beyond?
Yeah, well, so for 2025, as I said, 60,000 meters drilling, and this year's story is actually fairly simple. It's drill, drill, drill. We want to...
reminds me of a politician.
That's drill, baby, drill. Yeah. But we want to spend, half of that drill budget is going to be on expanding things like Upper Antino, Lower Antino, Boise, the more advanced targets in our concession right now. And then the other half is going into pure exploration drilling, like this recent discovery at Van Gogh. It's really what's going to make, I think, move the needle the biggest. And so in terms of milestones for us, it's continuing to make new discoveries with that drilling. That's really what we're after and what we think is going to drive the share price. I do get the question a lot. It's like, okay, well, you're a $500-ish million company today. What takes this further, and what's the value proposition for why it should be worth even more? And I think we look at what we've defined at Upper Antino, and what we've been able to come to understand about the geology at Upper Antino, and then we look at all of these discoveries that we've made away from that, and the trends that we've been able to show. 15 plus kilometer gold trend, developing a parallel, potentially, another 15 plus kilometer gold trend next to that, with some of the recent work, where 4 new discoveries outside of Upper Antino in the last 6-7 months. And we've really, proof of concept has been that there's a lot of gold in that property, and our 2025, one way to put it would be, this year it's not how many Froyos or how many Upper Antinos, it's not how big is Froyo or Upper Antino, it's how many of them are there on the property. But we're still working on how big it is as well.
Sure, at the same time.
Yeah.
So, there are dozens of mining companies operating around. How do you explain that, at least on the stock market, Founders Metal has been so successful? Especially in last month.
Yeah, our success, even when you look at our chart, it's not a hockey stick. It's been a very stair-step, progression and growth in value.
Yes.
It's been a significant growth in value, but we've also put out consistent and continuous excellent drill results. We have in release results, we have over 24 100 plus gram meter intervals in drill core. As I mentioned, a number of new discoveries that all have their own potential to be something much bigger than those first few drill holes, and that's really that's been reflected in that share price. And I mean, I think right now we're still in a market scenario where there's still have and have-nots as far as companies go. But I do think the companies that have good projects, and at this point, I think for us and for a number of others, some fairly obviously good projects, you see the market reaction.
Is it still time to invest in Founders Meta?
100%. 100%.
Okay, thank you, Colin.
Yeah,
thank you for your time.
Yeah,
thanks.
Likewise.